Hi there, my name's Eve Stevens and I'm editor of MOVEMNT.net and I'm here at Move America 2025 and I'm joined today by Alex Walling, Head of Business Development at Nokia. Nokia is one of our gold sponsors at this year's event. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me today. Just to kick us off, how is your Move 2025 experience so far?
Yeah, it's been great. We actually attended the one over in London as well, so it's really nice to have the consistency of seeing some of the similar faces and be here in America where we're really trying to expand our kind of adoption of our services. So it's been good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad. It's a buzzing atmosphere today. I'm really impressed. So Move is kind of all about uniting agents from across the mobility ecosystem. Why have you guys chosen to sponsor Move America? What kind of attracted you to the event, and what do you see as the kind of importance of these kind of cross-collaborative, cross-industry events?
Yeah. Well, so many people come up to me and they're like, Nokia, like the phones? And it is Nokia like the phones. And so we're all focused about connectivity and really uniting the world. And so I think it really blends in well to the mobility side of what Move is doing. And so much of our lives is all via our mobile phones. Your cars all have connectivity services in them as well. And so it feels like a very natural overlap in how we're helping kind of innovate and drive new solutions in the connectivity world. And so really what we're doing is opening up new functionality from 5G networks to a lot of these OEMs or other software vendors. So it's a perfect spot for us to be at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when you hear Nokia, it's like, mobility doesn't always come to mind. So it's interesting how you kind of like fit into this space. Absolutely. So you've spoken a lot about the potential of APIs extensively, saying that network APIs should be as easy as dropping in Google Maps or Stripe into an app. What kind of changes do you expect to see in the world of API technology, and what possibilities does this open up kind of in the context of transportation?
Yeah. Well, and I think I'd even expand that question out a little bit to not just APIs, but really connectivity as a whole. And so often when you think about connectivity, it's just consuming whatever bandwidth is available. So your phone, your car, your drone connects to the network, and whatever bandwidth it gets is really all you can do. And so what we're doing is kind of flipping that on its head and saying, what if your application could actually control how the network operates or get new data and insights, whether it be more information about your customers through KYC matching or number verification to ensure that the device they're using is what they're actually logging in with. So it's a really kind of new shift in connectivity as a whole. And I actually come from the startup space, kind of more traditional technology. And so trying to apply a lot of those similar methodologies for APIs and how mapping has been innovated through API technology or Stripe with payments and applying that to connectivity as well. So we're really excited about what we're doing here.
Yeah, lots of big changes happening. Really exciting stuff. So you spoke today in a talk called The Road to Automotive Success Starts with Network APIs. Can you kind of explain maybe the key sort of takeaways from that talk, what was discussed there?
Yeah, so it's building on a lot of what I've already talked about during this interview. It's kind of the shift in connectivity, driving innovation, and new use cases for this world. And what I really tried to do is open up specific use cases and how we're doing this. So two I would highlight. One is with Elmo, which is a remote driving company based out of Estonia, and they've worked with us on top of the Elisa network, the Telefonica network, to actually improve the quality and reliability of their remote operations. So making sure that the bandwidth and latency requirements to safely operate a vehicle from thousands of miles away is actually meeting the standards that they've set for their application. The other use case I talked about in that keynote earlier today is another partnership with CFAR, where we're actually helping them remotely operate cargo ships in and out of ports. So again, these massive ships being remotely driven because of shortages of captains who are trained on how to do it, trying to improve sustainability where you don't have to bring the captain to the ship every time, but instead do it remotely. And if you're going to do that, obviously you need premium connectivity to safely operate that vessel or vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. Super interesting stuff. What kind of, on a more personal level, what's kind of exciting you in the industry at the minute? Is there anything, any new technology that kind of is really getting you going and you're kind of excited? Do you think we should all be speaking about?
Yeah, feel like everyone's probably said the same answer, but AI, I think, is a pretty natural answer, where kind of we're accelerating how fast innovation is happening through these new tools and ways of thinking. So that's a really big one. In terms of mobility and transportation, I think autonomous driving is something really, really fascinating. Starting to see some real pilots and actually expanding out coverage of that. I know recently there's been expansion in the Bay Area, some new cities popping up as well. Personally, as a consumer, I'm really excited about that. But then as I look at Move as a conference more broadly, I think what's really exciting is the blending of different styles of companies, where it's not just another kind of automotive show. You've got startups, you've got OEMs, you've got connectivity partners, you've got all these different people with different worldviews and perspectives coming together and thinking about how do we maintain or improve sustainability, how do we rethink innovation, and how do we come together from multiple different partners to kind of really innovate in really exciting ways.
Yeah, I think that's very much the beauty of Move. It really is a converged event. There's people from all across the spectrum, different ages, different backgrounds. Like it's a really great for that. So definitely. I guess what I want to ask is, what do you kind of see for the future of mobility? Maybe in the next sort of 5 to 10 years. What's kind of that vision? Maybe in a more ideal world, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think 5 to 10 years back in the day, that was like, oh, that's so far away. But I really think we're changing so much that 5 to 10 years, I think things will be completely different. Obviously, my point of view is a little bit more on the like connectivity and how do we think about data flowing in and out of vehicles. I also think about the shift of autonomous vehicles, and if suddenly your passengers aren't actively engaged with driving the vehicle, how does that reshape how we think about the in-car experiences? So maybe that's providing new streaming services or kind of just rethinking how you think about that in-vehicle experience. I'd say those are a couple of areas that I'm really excited about, the shift towards autonomous vehicles and how that will change consumer experiences.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely going to completely shift the industry on its head, like rethinking what is a car and what does that space look like. So definitely. Just lastly, before we wrap up, obviously you said you kind of started out in the startup space. What kind of advice would you give? Obviously there's lots of startups here today. What advice would you give to a startup kind of breaking into the industry? Do you have any kernels of wisdom?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the company I worked for was a small startup out of San Francisco that actually got acquired by Nokia. I think a few things is really early on focusing on a few marquee case studies that you can go reference and expand that out to the rest of the industry. I do think attending events like Move, that it is such a kind of a melting pot of ideas and different styles of companies. I love seeing the startup alley and just so many companies pitching their ideas and looking for new customers and new partners. I think that's really important for them to be able to break into this industry. So those are some of the ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Very helpful stuff. And yeah, I was walking around the startup alley earlier, and it's really exciting to see really cool all these fun things that people come up with. So absolutely, I completely agree. Well, that's all we have time for, but thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your conference.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time.